Hello, everyone. Welcome to the class of Architectural Drawing and Blueprint Reading. Today, we are going to start the study of the fourth subsection in Chapter 9, Architectural Construction Drawings. The content of this lecture is the architectural elevation drawing. Let's take a look at what knowledge we need to master in this subsection. First, to be mastered: the formation and functions of the building elevation. Secondly, to be mastered: relevant regulations and legends of the building elevation. Third, to be mastered: the graphic content of the building elevation. Fourth, to be mastered: the reading of the building elevation. Fifth, to be mastered: the drawing of the building elevation. Next, let's start to learn the knowledge required to be mastered about the building elevation. First, formation and functions of building elevations. First, a building elevation is an orthographic projection with the projection plane parallel to each exterior wall of the building. The building elevation mainly reflects the total height of the building, the shapes of the eaves and the roof, such as pitched roofs, etc., the forms and arrangements of doors and windows, and the shapes and positions of outdoor steps, canopies, etc. In addition, written descriptions are also often used to indicate the building materials and construction methods of each part. The building elevation is also one of the most fundamental drawings in the construction drawings of building projects. Since a building has multiple elevations, how can we clearly distinguish different elevations of the same building? Next, we will learn about the naming of building elevations. Naming of building elevations. 1. Naming according to the importance of the building facades. The facade that reflects the main entrance or exit, or the main appearance characteristics of the building, is called the front elevation, and the rest of the elevations are called the back elevation, the left side elevation, and the right side elevation. 2. Naming according to the orientation of the building, such as south elevation, north elevation, west elevation, east elevation. 3. Naming according to the numbers of the locating axes at both ends. For example, elevation 1 to 9, or elevation 9 to 1, etc. Next. Fourth, relevant regulations for building elevations. 1. Scale. The drawing scale is consistent with that of the building plan. 2. Lines. Thickened solid lines represent the outdoor ground level of the building, with a width of 1.4 b. Thick solid lines represent the outer contour lines of the building, with a width of b. Medium, thick solid lines represent the contour lines of the concave, convex parts on the building elevation, the openings of doors and windows, and the contour lines of larger building components and fittings, such as canopies, eaves, balconies, steps, etc., with a width of 0.5 b. Thin solid lines represent the contour lines of detailed structures, such as wall dividing lines, window and door grids, rainwater pipes, and leader lines on the building, with a width of 0.25 b. 3. Positioning axes. Only draw the positioning axes and their numbers at both ends, and the numbers shall correspond to those in the plan view. 4. Legends and construction methods of building materials. Due to the relatively small scale of the elevation, details such as door and window leaves, eave structures, balcony railings, and complex wall decorations are generally represented by legends. Their structures and construction methods are separately illustrated by detailed drawings or described in writing. Therefore, conventionally, only one or two of these details are respectively drawn as representatives, and for the others, only the contour lines are drawn. 5. Dimension marking. On the elevation, the dimensions in the height direction are usually represented, and this type of dimension is mainly represented by elevation dimensions. Generally, the elevations of various parts, such as the outdoor ground level, plinth, window sill, window edge, bottom of the canopy, bottom of the balcony, and top surface of the eave, should be marked on the elevation. 5th, graphic content of building elevations. 1. Draw the outdoor ground line of the building elevation and all visible components, such as apron, steps, rainwater pipes, flower beds, plinth, door head, doors and windows, canopy, balcony, eaves, etc., as well as the structural form of the roof. 2. Mark the shapes, positions, and opening directions of doors and windows on the exterior wall. 3. Mark the shapes, materials, and specific construction methods of various components and decorations on the exterior wall. 4. Mark the elevation of each main part of the building and the necessary local dimensions, such as the elevation of the finished surfaces of the outdoor ground, the first floor ground, steps, window sills, the tops of doors and windows, balconies, canopies, eaves, roofs, etc. 5. Mark the detail reference symbols and necessary text descriptions. 6. Mark the positioning axes and their numbers at both ends of the exterior wall. Write the drawing name and scale. After learning the basic knowledge of building elevations, we begin to learn how to read building elevations. 4th, reading building elevations. First, understand the drawing name and scale, and identify which side of the building the elevation belongs to. Second, when reading the elevation, it is advisable to start from the elevation of the main entrance. Third, for buildings with a winding plan shape, an expanded elevation can be drawn. For buildings with a circular or polygonal plan, the elevation can be drawn in segments. However, the words expanded should be added after the drawing name in both cases. 4th, for relatively simple, symmetrical buildings or symmetrical components, the elevation can be drawn only half, with a symmetrical symbol drawn at the axis of symmetry, provided that this does not affect the construction treatment and construction. 5th, in the building elevation, the same doors, windows, balconies, construction practices, etc., can be represented locally with emphasis, drawing their complete shapes, while the rest only need to draw their contour lines. Next, we will take the elevation of the number 1 dormitory building of Jiangxi Construction Vocational and Technical College as an example, to illustrate the content of the elevation and its reading method. First, from the drawing name, or the numbering of the axes, it can be known that this drawing represents the elevation facing south of the house. The scale is consistent with the plan view scale 1 to 100 for easy comparison and reading. Second, from the drawing, the entire exterior appearance of the house can be seen, and the forms and positions of details such as the roof, doors, windows, plinth, and rainwater pipes can also be understood. Third, from the elevations marked in the drawing, it is known that the lowest part of this building, the outdoor ground level, is 300 millimeters lower than the indoor plus or minus 0.000, and the highest part is 24.3 meters. Generally, the elevation is written outside the figure, and the symbols are arranged neatly and are of the same size. If the building is symmetrical on the left and right, it is generally written on the left side. When it is asymmetrical, both the left and right sides should be marked, if necessary. For the sake of greater clarity, it can be marked inside the figure, such as the elevation of the top surface of the middle window. Fourth, from the text descriptions in the drawing, understand the construction methods of the exterior wall finishes of the building. Fifth, drawing of building elevations. Generally, the following steps are involved. Select the same drawing scale as that of the plan view. 1. Step 1. Outline. First, draw the ground line, the outline of the exterior wall, and the roof line. Step 2. 2. Detailed structures. Draw the outline lines of building components such as doors, windows, balconies, canopies, and cornices. Step 3. Third, according to the legend table, draw the legends of doors, windows, balconies, canopies, etc., and draw elevation symbols. 4. Fourth step, completing the drawing. Check and deepen the lines. Label dimensions and elevations. Write the drawing name, scale, axis numbers, and exterior wall decoration and finishing instructions. This concludes the content of this section. Thank you for your watching.